Novak Djokovic versus Denis Kudla, round 3, Wimbledon. If you don't want to be spoiled, click away in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Novak Djokovic comes through in 3 sets, but it's not 3 easy sets. Straight sets victories are a little exaggerated because of tennis's scoring system, and this was a good example of that. The first and third sets, particularly, were rather close, and Denis Kudla probably lost because of a lack of experience and a little bit less fortitude than Novak Djokovic displayed, which is typical Novak Djokovic. Do not get me wrong. Let us go through the statistics a little bit. Novak Djokovic first serve percentage significantly down to 55%, yet the winning percent on that first serve is 88. The winning percentage on the second serve was 57. Break points won 4 out of 10. Tie breaks won. The one and only tie break of the match was won by Djokovic in the third set. Total points won 103. 19 games won. Service points 165. Service games won 14. While Denis Kudla had first serve percentage of 49. The winning percentage on that first serve 64. Second serve winning percentage 61%. Break points won 2 out of 4. And points won in total 85. Games won in total 13. Service points won 58. Service games won 11. As is evident by the numbers, Djokovic, all in all, has been the more superior player throughout the match, but there were many instances, most specifically in the third set, where it seemed that Kudla was actually playing slightly better than Djokovic, and those are the moments where Djokovic relies more on his experience and his immaculate, unmatched ability to stick in a rally and not make unnecessary errors. Djokovic brings to any match this presence, this reputation that he is not going to give anything to you for free unless it's an overhead, in which case he might be very, very generous. But aside from that, Djokovic does not give you free points if he's fully dialed in, or even halfway dialed in. In the most important moments, he will not relent. And just because of that reputation, the opposition players more often than not have this tendency to go for more because they think he's such a great player, rightfully so. So I have to go for more. And when you go for more, if you're redlining, which means that you're playing at or even beyond your top level, you have the ability to take a set or two, maybe. But more often, what happens is you commit more unforced errors as compared to your usual rate. And this is where Djokovic is profiting the most. His aura is at an all-time high. You do not really believe anyone is going to be able to beat him, given the way he's been playing, most specifically this year. He's won the 2 majors that have happened. He played really well even at Mallorca. He played really well in the first 2 matches at Wimbledon. So he brings that presence to the tennis court each time. The first set was very close as well. Denis Kudla began with very steady serving, and he showed an ability to hang with Djokovic in the rallies as well, which was surprising. But Djokovic always has that extra gear which he does not access unless he needs to. And even in the most clutch moments, or the most important turns, Djokovic does not need to unlock that. But the level that Djokovic did play, Kudla almost matched it. The first set was level at 4-5, well 4-4. Then Djokovic held serve to go up 5-4, serving. Kudla was serving to stay in the set, and that is when out of the blue Kudla starts making unforced errors, 15-40, and before you know it, Kudla has lost the first set despite hanging with Djokovic. So it was not as if Djokovic hit Kudla out of the court or that Djokovic was playing ridiculously well. That just was not the case. In fact, I think I have the winners and unforced errors numbers for the first and second set. And those actually suggested that in the first set, Djokovic won 26 points, while Kudla won 25 points. Djokovic had 10 winners as opposed to 11 unforced errors, and Kudla had 8 winners and 7 unforced errors. So it just again shows how Djokovic is the master at winning the crucial points, and he converted the set points that he had, and he won the set. He went away with the set. Second set was a little more lopsided because Kudla did not show any indication that he was going to break. He does have good ground strokes, but in the second set, more significantly, you could not envision Kudla winning those lull rallies in which no one is really pulling the trigger. So a lot of those rallies are defined by slices or stock shots. Stock shots are your average shots in which you are trying to get it as deep as possible, but not really able to generate a lot of pace or show any aggression through your shots. You're just trying to stay in the rally while not giving the opportunity to your opponent to attack you. In those rallies, a lot of the times Kudla was required to bend down and hit slices back, hit regulation forehands back, and Kudla was committing a lot of errors in the second set. Djokovic, of course, was cleaning up his play in the second, even though Djokovic's serve was not clicking as much as we had seen in the matches prior to this. In the end, Djokovic wins by virtue of that one break that he had in the second set, and that brings us to the final set, which was the most interesting out of the three. However, there were a few things that were noticeable. Kudla had some moments of brilliance with his down the line backhand suddenly catching fire, which prompts the crowd to go crazy often. But you need consistency, and that was lacking from Kudla in the second set. The third set is again the perfect example of why is the best example of how you win 5 set matches. The even a set. If you look at how the games started, Kudla raced to a 3-0 lead. He had one break of serve. But from that point, Djokovic made it a point to hold serve to love. The next 2 times Djokovic served, he served to love. Kudla, to his credit, after consolidating the break and Djokovic holding serve at up 3-1, Kudla showed real grit and held for 3-2. His serve was clicking and he was choosing his shots better. He was going for angles and he was particularly matching Djokovic shot for shot, and his and Kudla's backhand down the line was really bothering Djokovic, which brings us to 4-1 for Kudla, Djokovic serving. Another love game, 4-2. Djokovic's serve had finally begun firing. At 4-2, Kudla loses serve, and we are back on serve. Djokovic makes it to 4-4. Kudla and Djokovic hold their respective serves twice more to bring us to the tiebreaker. And this is similar to the first set tiebreak of the French Open final 2 or 3 weeks ago against Tsitsipas. Of course, in that case, Tsitsipas won the tiebreak, but how it is similar is that Djokovic's opponent won the first few points, gained an advantage, and Djokovic just didn't panic at all. In the first set tiebreak of the French Open final, Djokovic was down 4-1 or 4-0. And in today's third set, Djokovic was down 3-0 and then 4-1 in the tiebreak. There was no panic. Djokovic just knows that if he hangs around for long enough, given who he is, given that he's the world number one, the hot favorite to win Wimbledon, the opponent is going to go for broke. The opponent is going to try things that he probably should not try to that extent. And Djokovic just held, and he leveled the tiebreak at I think it was 6-6. The tiebreak was leveled at 6-6. After which Kudla saved two. No, he saved one break point by serving down the tee and generating an error from Djokovic. But then Djokovic continued rallying and continued relying on his amazing return of serve and deep ground strokes. He was moving Kudla around the court, but Kudla answered again, relying on his really reliable and very quick, deceptively quick backhand down the line, and also a little bit of variety from Kudla. Kudla was also getting more consistency on his slices, which were exemplary given the demanding circumstances deep into the third set tiebreak. However, Djokovic had match point for the second time, and Djokovic continued to pepper Kudla's forehand and finally won the match after a very gruesome rally. And Djokovic's celebration would be evidence enough to show you that this was a good test for Djokovic. Not just a good test, an actual test. He was tested. Djokovic also had to show up at important moments in the match. which was not very required in his match against Kevin Anderson. One characteristic trait, or two rather, which have defined and also contributed to a lot of Djokovic's success have been the depth on the ground strokes that Djokovic has and his return of serve. Because every time, for example, you're a tennis player and you're starting a service game, you would hope that by serving well that you would gain an advantage. Even if you don't hit an ace, the return would still be not very deep around the center line, around the service line on your side of the court, after which you can at least try for a winner, a +1 shot, which would be a winner or a forced error, whichever one it might be. But in this match in particular, aside from the really great serves that Kudla sometimes generated, aside from those, Djokovic was returning extremely deep. There were multiple occasions in the same game where Kudla served and he found the ball coming to his feet as a return, and he had to take a few steps back and get a half volley return or an uncomfortable return off balance. So he was really bothered by those, and that is why Djokovic was able to break back in the third set. Despite Djokovic being down 4-1, he leveled at 4-4. What else do you expect from the world number one? But the fact that he's continuously doing this is just a testament to his consistency and his pedigree as a champion. So that goes to further enhance Djokovic's chances to come out ahead on his half of the draw, and there's no end in sight for his systematic ascent to his 20th Grand Slam. We'll see how well that goes, but as long as he's returning this well and his strokes remain clean and well thought out and his errors are not ridiculously high, which is very rare for Djokovic anyway, there's no reason to not believe in Djokovic. But as a side note, I would like to really compliment Denis Kudla as well because his presence on court is very friendly. There was a very positive energy when he was playing today, and there was a very positive energy when he was playing today. He was playing to the crowd as well. After one Djokovic serve, which was a fault, Kudla kicked the ball, and that ball traveled to the other side of the net, and he then prompted the crowd to respond to that as well with a smile on his face, often after winning demanding games. For example, the consolidation of his break in the third set, Kudla really got pumped up and a very positive "come on" after winning that game. So he has all the makings of a crowd favorite. He has a nice smile. He's always showing positive signs of trying to be jovial and finding his best game. However, sometimes those positive, really promising moments and really happy-go-lucky attitude keeps him from probably sinking his teeth into a match or really focusing on every point. And there were some occasions where I thought that he was not focusing as much as he probably should, given the fact that he was facing off against the world number one. But those are the things that we will have to keep an eye on to see whether he develops more focus or just concentration during the course of an entire game or 3, 4 games in a row. So these are the deficiencies, but also reasons for optimism when it comes to Denis Kudla. Good luck to him, and I will see you tomorrow for Federer's match, after Federer's match. Until then, this is Duncan Lievi. Cheers.